Welcome back to another episode. Today, I want to do something a little bit different. And at the end of this episode, let me know what you guys think of the overall episode. I want to take a closer look at six semiconductor slash AI companies. And while not all of them I might be necessarily bullish on, it might be different from you. So it's more of just an idea maker of a video where we're going to take a closer look at different companies. I'm going to share my overall thoughts of why one should be bullish and why one should be bearish. We're going to take a closer look at things like valuations as well. So I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. So let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So Nvidia, if we take a closer look at valuation real quick, PE ratio 74.66 right now. PE ratio forward, which is about the next 12 months, is sitting at 35.54. And forward 1 year, which is the end of next fiscal year, is 28.9. So reasons why one should be bullish on Nvidia. First, this is the top AI platform company. We've looked at this company almost on a daily basis. And a few weeks ago, the CEO of Nvidia mentions that, hey, look, no matter if our competitors give their chips for free, it's not cheap enough compared to the value that Nvidia brings as a full platform. Not only that, Nvidia is a true leader in AI chip design right now. They continue to innovate and produce new chips on a yearly basis, and they're also improving their software solutions as well, which tend to have high margins. Now, I personally believe valuation, it's not crazy. It's if AI growth continues, and I personally talked about it. If you watch any of my other NVIDIA episodes, you know that I believe AI will change the world. Maybe might not be as fast as many anticipate, but in the long term of things, I do believe NVIDIA will continue to dominate in this revenue and revenue in this market. Now, obviously, some reasons to ignore NVIDIA. First is the fear of big tech in-house chips. So we're seeing all these major cloud service providers create their own AI accelerators. If you believe they will take market share from NVIDIA, that is obviously a reason to ignore. I personally am not fearful because if you understand the difference between an ASIC solution, which is what most of these big tech house players are making, and a full GPU or AI accelerator that is meant for programmable solutions and very flexibility, you will understand that right now there is no one near the levels of Nvidia in forms of big tech players. Now, fear of other competitors. There's players like AMD, like Intel, that are also creating their own AI accelerators, other startups as well. Obviously, again, those competitions can definitely take some of the crumbs here in the AI space. If you believe they can take a lot of the market share from Nvidia, I really wouldn't buy Nvidia in general. Fear of AI not growing. If one believes the AI market is not going to grow, if this is more of just a trend and something that's just cool right now, but eventually will blow over, obviously Nvidia is not the stock for you. And finally, the fear of not meeting analyst expectations. Analysts are expecting a lot from Nvidia right now in forms of revenue growth, in forms of earnings per share, because they expect them to dominate in the AI space. But if you believe those estimations by analysts are way too far ahead and are too high, then Nvidia's valuation is way too high at the moment. I'm not saying that these are the reasons I'm ignoring it. Nvidia is my number one position, but if one was to invest in Nvidia, these are probably some of the biggest bearish points that you will want to look at before getting any further into this stock. Obviously, some other investors might see these fears as true. Like I mentioned, most of these I don't believe are true in the long term of things. Before we go any further, we are now on the road to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Thank you all for the crazy support. So if you haven't and are enjoying the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Finally, if you want to support the channel a little bit more, make sure to check out my special offer at fool.com/Jose. Now back to today's episode. Now kind of switching off into another semiconductor market. So this is Airtest Systems. So Airtest System is another one that I own, but probably one I don't talk about too much. Airtest System is a company that provides semiconductor equipment solutions for kind of the burn-in or stress test of chips that go into EV vehicles and vehicles in general. Most of their stress testing are for silicon carbide chips, which like SiC, which like I mentioned are mainly for the EV market. Unfortunately, we are seeing this huge slowdown in the EV space, and the overall stock has seen a huge decrease in orders right now, which makes sense, right? If you're not building EV cars, if the demand for EV vehicles is slow right now, then they're not going to order equipment to kind of stress test the chips that go into those vehicles. Now, reasons to buy. First, obviously, valuation. Forward 1 year sitting at 22. I personally don't think it's expensive. Two, the EV market grows in the long term. If you believe the EV market is still in early innings, if you believe they're going to grow, it doesn't matter what company grows. Is it going to be Tesla? Is it going to be Ford? It doesn't matter. If you believe the EV market grows, Airtest system is going to grow with it, because the EV market, you're seeing growth in cars, you're seeing growth in infrastructure and other types of power solutions that need these types of kind of products. Now, reasons to ignore. Obviously, there are reasons to ignore. The EV market might be in a slump for a while. And if maybe you believe that, hey, look, this might be dead money for the next few quarters, and I don't want dead money for the next few quarters, then this is one to ignore right now. Obviously, another kind of bearish point, if you believe the EV market doesn't pick up, if this transformation is, again, just a quick trend, just a cool trend, and eventually it's going to die down and there's going to be some other technology instead of EV market, then this is a stock to ignore for sure. But I'm more in the EV market growing, and kind of doesn't matter what car company grows, but they're going to need infrastructure, they're going to need a growth in cars, and these other chips can also go in other platforms as well. So personally, Airtest system is on this list. Now bring it back to one more common, AMD. So reasons to buy. You believe that they're going to continue to be the CPU tech leader in forms of server and client space, and continue to grab market share from Intel. Another reason to buy, MI300X and future AI accelerators are going to grab market share. I believe this is true, but I've mentioned, and AMD is my number 2 position, I mentioned that I don't believe AMD is the next Nvidia. I don't believe it's going to see revenue growth like Nvidia, but it will definitely see growth in the AI market. And just because it's not an Nvidia, it's not that it can't grow at strong levels. So I'm very bullish in the MI300X, but not as bullish as I am in Nvidia. The embedded market, right? AMD recently made an acquisition of Xilinx, and that brings them into a lot of other markets like FPGA, like automotive, like aerospace and defense. And if you believe that market is in a slump right now and will grow in the future, another reason to buy. And finally, in my opinion, analysts are not overestimating. They might be properly estimating. I don't know what the real word for properly estimating the AI revenue. Like I mentioned, AMD is not the next Nvidia, but the MI300 will definitely be a nice revenue grower for them, at least for the short term. Maybe in the long term, AMD might release some crazy AI chip accelerators that I can really, in the future, I might say, hey, look, this is definitely the next NVIDIA. But right now, I believe analysts are properly valuing their revenue growth from the AI market. And we can see PE ratio forward 1 year sitting at 27.11. Now, unfortunately, there are reasons to ignore AMD. The two main ones are dealing with their CPU market, which is their core product. Server CPU market has huge competition. We see all big tech players come out with their own chips. We see Amazon, Microsoft, Google just announced Axion, which their own server CPU. Now, in Nvidia, I said that I wasn't worried about big tech with AI accelerators, and that's because there's a huge gap in technology there. Now, when it comes to CPUs, the gap is not that wide. So obviously the server CPU market is definitely seeing competition. Not only that, the client CPU market, which is your laptops, your desktops, your tablets, is also becoming one with heavy competitions, like companies like Qualcomm, like Apple, and other ARM solutions. Another reason to ignore this, if you believe their AI accelerator and GPU products fail in the future. I personally don't believe that's the case, but like I mentioned, I also don't believe AMD is the next NVIDIA. Now, moving into one that also we don't discuss too much in this channel is Marvell Technologies. Forward 1 year PE ratio of 27.25. Marvell provides a lot of solutions for networking markets, and some of those solutions, unfortunately, are seeing a huge of a downturn, and that's why we see a huge gap in PE ratio in the future. Why are some reasons to buy Marvell? To me, I believe their biggest growth opportunity is the AI custom solution, and it is growing at crazy levels. I've done plenty of videos of maybe not plenty, but I've definitely done deep dive on Marvell. Make sure to take a closer look at my most recent video where we really see that growth in AI solutions. But I believe that's going to continue as the AI accelerator market is going to continue growing. Valuation, in my opinion, doesn't seem to be impacting much growth. This is to me telling that maybe analysts right now are underestimating, and for that reason, I think Marvell is actually sitting at impressive levels. It's one I don't own in my portfolio, but one I'm really, really looking to add up and really integrate into my semiconductor market. Now, reasons to ignore, obviously competition. You have competitions for Broadcom, and you have kind of competition with Nvidia ever entering in the AI custom solution market. So Marvell is probably one of my favorites right now that I do not own. Now, Intel, your favorite semiconductor company, reasons to buy. Valuation is cheap. They're cheap. Look, forward 1 year is 15.24. Reasons to buy. If you believe their fab business, their chip manufacturing will succeed. And currently, it is moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, the manufacturing business is a long process, and we will take some time for us to really see this in the income statement, in the cash flow statement. But if you believe this is going to grow, then obviously it's cheap right now. If they maintain and if they grow and improve their CPU technology and become a CPU tech leader again, that can obviously bode well for Intel. And finally, their AI accelerators like Gaudi 3 and Falcon Shores have potential to be another revenue boost. Again, nowhere near an Nvidia, and I don't believe it would ever be an AMD in forms of GPU, but it will be a market that can help boost a little bit, give a nice little kick in the behind of AI accelerators, and see a decent revenue growth. Now, reasons to ignore. Very similar to AMD, server CPU and client CPU market are too heavy in competition right now. The second thing, their AI accelerator and GPUs fail. I believe the probability of this happening is a lot higher than it is for AMD. So this would be third on my list if I'm looking at AI accelerators. Maybe fourth, because Marvell I think would be number two, Nvidia number one, and AMD number three, followed by Intel here in number four. So Intel sitting at cheap levels, but because there's a lot to go wrong, mainly in their fab business, which is a costly push. Like I mentioned, right now that's going in the right direction, but it is a long process. Now, my last company here is not a semiconductor company, but it's definitely benefiting from the AI space. And this is Oracle. This is probably one of my favorite stocks right now. And the main reason is this is a cloud server provider, and reasons to buy. Their valuation is cheap versus other cloud server providers. Forward 1 year, 18.5. AI cloud continues to grow and the demand continues to grow, which would bode well for their AI clouding solution and be able to grow market share. They're also in the healthcare market, which is one that Nvidia has mentioned will be one of the biggest industries to be impacted in the future. And obviously, that could bode well for Oracle. Now, reasons to ignore. Investing too much in AI, and if the demand slows down, that money is pretty much being burnt on fire. Two, this is a company that has high debt. Three, if you believe they won't win market share from cloud server providers. Four, legacy revenue not growing. And five, the AI growth won't be enough to push this to new levels. Like I mentioned, Oracle is probably one of my favorite stocks right now in forms of valuation. And this is one I enjoy right now. It is slowly creeping up to a nice, healthy position in my overall portfolio. And I do believe that's going to continue to be the case. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Take care. Have a good day. See you next time. And if you like this episode, give me maybe a list of 7 stocks or 5 stocks that I should do next. And I'll do this very similar. Take a closer look at valuations, reasons why I would buy, reasons why I wouldn't buy. So see you all next time.